Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another album review. This one is from Primus, and if you know me at all, follow my channel at all, you know I am a gigantic Primus fan. I think they're one of the best bands ever, and I love them. And I've done reviews of all of their albums, including their EPs and their live albums. So when I heard that they're releasing a new album, I knew I had to review it right away. Came out today. It's called the Desaturating 7. It's their 9th studio album, and it's their first album in 22 years since Tales from the Punch Bowl in 1995, that they have the classic lineup of Les Claypool on bass, Larry Lalonde on guitar, and Tim Alexander on drums. They did have this lineup for the Chocolate Factory album a few years ago, but this is the first album in 22 years of original material that they have had Tim Alexander, and it's very exciting for me. The classic lineup will always be the true Primus to me. I'm a fan of the other Primus stuff too, but this is Primus to me, and very excited about it. And it was inspired, it's called the Desaturating 7. It was inspired by a children's book called The Rainbow Goblins by an Italian author named Ulderico. Yeah, it was a book that Les Claypool's wife, introduced him to, and it's a book that he used to read to his children, and he always thought that it would make an interesting interesting idea to write music about what goes on in this children's book, and so that's what they did. And if you watch YouTube, obviously you do if you're watching this video, but if you watch YouTube and you're a Primus fan, you might know that the 7 days leading up to the release of this album, he released a track a day on YouTube before the album, because there's 7 tracks on the album. And he dressed up in this pig mask, and if you've ever seen Primus live, he dresses up like that and does some songs in that, and he calls his character Christopher P. Bacon. And for each of the 7 songs they did a video for, he read a little bit of the book and introduced the song for each video as this character. It was very interesting. So I heard a bunch of this before the album was released today, but not the full album altogether until today. Listened to a bunch of it. Listened to it a bunch of times today, and I'm going to give you my first impressions of it and what I think. So, track number 1, The Valley. The Valley refers to the Valley of the Rainbows, which is a place. Now, a little background on what the Desaturating 7 is. Desaturating 7 are a bunch of goblins. Red, blue, orange, green, red, indigo, violet, I forgot. He says it in one of the songs. But they're all a different color, and each goblin. And they go around, and they take the colors. They steal the colors out of things. They desaturate the colors. They're the Desaturating 7. And there's a place called the Valley of the Rainbows that they've never been able to get to. And they dream about getting to this place because it's full of rainbows and color, and they want to steal all the color. So this song is about that valley, the Valley of the Rainbows. And it's the only song on the actual album that has a spoken word intro to it, introducing the song, like he did on the YouTube videos. But it's not the same voice. It might still be Claypool, but it's a different recording. And it's really cool. It has some acoustic guitar at the beginning, which I don't know if I've ever heard Primus use acoustic guitar before. I could be blanking something out of my mind, but I really can't think of anything, and I know all of Primus, and that's pretty cool that they do a little bit of acoustic on this. There's some really cool stand-up bass with the bow, which I love it when Les does that. It's a cool song. I like it a lot. Now, number 2 is called The 7. It refers to, like I said before, the 7 goblins 7 colored goblins who drain the color out of things. And this song was the first song I heard off the album because back a few months ago when they were touring with Clutch, I saw them in Rochester, and I knew they'd been playing this song live. So they played it at this show too, and it's a great song. And they ended up releasing it a couple months before the album on YouTube, like the actual track. So this is the song I'm the most familiar with off the album. The song that most people are probably most familiar with. And it's a great song. It's classic, has that classic marching Primus bass line that just screams Primus. Whenever you hear it, you're like, that's Primus. And it was, like I said, it was released before the album. They play it live. It's one of the shorter ones on the album, but man, it leaves an impression. It's a badass song, and it's great. All right, number 3 is called The Trek, and it's about the voyage the goblins are taking to this Valley of the Rainbows to drain the rainbows, all of their colors. And there's a really fucking cool guitar line in the song I like a lot. And that's one thing I gotta say. I gotta get this out. Larry Lalonde is a very underrated guitar player. And when Green Naugahyde came out in 90, yeah, in 2011, it was the first album in a long time, and I was just noticing how great his guitar work on it. It's even gotten better as he's gotten older. And on this album too, it's just phenomenal, the things he does. And someone's got to give this guy some credit, so I'm giving him some credit. And he's a bright. Les Claypool, he's always shining on every album. He's amazing. And you know, Tim, whoever they got drumming, they're always good. And Larry kind of fades into the background sometimes, but he's got some badass guitar licks. And man, he outdoes himself on Green Naugahyde and on this album, in my opinion. But great guitar line in the song, and I just love it. Number 4, The Scheme. This is about the Rainbow Goblins scheming planning on what they're going to do, how they're going to steal the colors from the rainbow and all that stuff. Really weird stuff. Another kick-ass guitar line in the song. Some funky bass, which, you know, goes hand in hand with Claypool, but maybe the funkiest bass on the whole album. And, like I said, it's about them planning what they're going to do. And, you know, I haven't read this children's book, so I can't get too much more into what the songs are about. I just go by what Claypool says on the intros to those YouTube videos. So, and what I've surmised by listening to the album a few times now. Okay, number 5, The Dream, is probably the strangest song on this album. It's got a weird looping background music that just goes through the whole song, and some really good bass work from Les. From what I remember, Larry's kind of non-existent on this song, which is unfortunate. But this might actually be, it's close to being my favorite song in the album. It's just so strange and kind of menacing in a way. And it's just weird-ass Primus. It's one of the longest songs on the album, and I'm just glad they just keep getting weirder, and they just do. I love it. So that was The Dream. It's about them dreaming. They have a shared dream about this rainbow. They all dream the same dream about how beautiful this rainbow is, and how you're in this valley, you just lay down and the colors flow into your mouth. And yeah, it's weird stuff. Number 6, The Storm. It's the longest song on the album. It's a little over 8 minutes. And it's about this storm that wakes the goblins from this shared dream I just spoke of. And they get all excited because they know when there's a storm, there's probably going to be a really nice rainbow afterwards to drink from, take the colors from. And it's kind of, the bass in it kind of reminds me of the bass at the beginning of Greet the Sacred Cow, from the Anti-Pop album. Just that effect he has on the bass, it kind of reminds me of that. It's a better song than Greet the Sacred Cow. Anti-Pop isn't their best album by far, but there's some good stuff on it. And Greet the Sacred Cow is one that I do like. And I don't know, any other people that know Primus and know this new song and Greet the Sacred Cow, tell me if I'm crazy or not, but it kind of reminds me of that. Okay, number 7, the final song is called The Ends. I say it like that because there's a question mark at the end. So this is kind of the finale of the album. It's kind of short. There's some Tim Alexander drumming in it that it's just classic Tim Alexander. And it just reminds me of a lot of other Primus songs, the way he drums in this song. And it's about the rainbow deciding it's not going to touch the earth anymore. So no one will be able to find where it begins or ends, and they won't be able to find it because I guess it got away from the goblins. I don't know. And so you won't be able to find where the rainbow begins or ends because it's not going to touch the earth. So they won't be able to find it and take the color from it. So that is the Desaturating 7. It's another concept album, which is kind of what the Willy Wonka cover album was. Would I have liked to have another normal Primus album like Green Naugahyde with normal Primus songs that aren't about a specific thing? Yeah, I would have liked that. But I'm always glad when I get new Primus, especially original music. Like, I like the Willy Wonka stuff, but it's not their songs. So I'm glad this is original music, and anytime I get new Primus, I'm happy. Because they went so long without recording that I'm just giddy with the fact that they've released 3 albums in the last 6 years. So that makes me really happy. And to tell you the truth, this album's really interesting and kind of makes me want to read the book. And it's just Primus. It's classic Primus. Only Primus would do an album about this, you know? And it sounds like Primus, and nobody else sounds like Primus, and we are blessed to have Primus in this world, and Les Claypool, and Larry and Herb, Tim Alexander. So I would give this album 8 out of 10. I like it a lot. I just wish it was a little longer. There's some really long songs on it, but there's some short ones too. There's only 7 songs, so it's almost EP length, but, you know, I'll forgive them for that. It's new Primus. I don't give a shit. So, yeah, I'm happy. New Primus. Desaturating 7, their 9th studio album. I love these guys, and if you haven't listened to them, listen to them. Fuck that shit that's on the radio. Just check out some different shit. Primus is great. Alright, guys. I'll talk to you later. Hopefully you've heard this album and like it as much as I do. I got a Facebook. Go check that out, Darth Warrock. I got Twitter, Darth Warrock on there. I don't have an Instagram. I have a Tumblr. I have a Pinterest. Sure, check that out too. Got them all listed below. So yeah, have a great day. Primus sucks.